Here's a question. How do you deal with someone that's very anti-animal? Like they're like, ugh. Like you mentioned chicken or beef, and they're like, ugh.
Well, it's a good thing that that's becoming more rare. For a few years there, it was very, very much in vogue to be vegan, but it looks like most of those people went back. They went back to something more balanced. Myself included, I was vegan as well. I never had the repulsion to animals. I did it because of the documentary and book Food Inc., by the way, which showed me that, like, the whole food system is evil and disgusting. And you have it in your head that, like, all slaughterhouses are horrible, all farms are horrible. And it's just not true. It gives you only the negative. Whereas I've driven across America many times, you can see massive slaughterhouses, and then you can see nice farms right next to it, or at least where the cows are outside on fields and stuff, like not necessarily living their best life, but they're not jammed into a feedlot, basically. So there's people who do it well. There's farmers who care, there's companies who care. But yeah, so if they're repulsed, again, good thing that doesn't happen very much often. It doesn't happen very often. It's not the average person. For the longest time, both Dr. Wallach and Dr. Glidden and myself would all say, basically, you can eat whatever you want because we don't want to argue with you that much, as long as you're not eating the bad foods. That's what we care about. And if you're 100% off animals, well, hopefully you're 100% off the bad foods too, right? Hopefully you're repulsed by the bad foods too. But realistically, we want to help people as much as they will let us help them. I know a lot of people who never did the food advice, but they take the products, they feel better, right? Some people are close to me in that category. They're good friends, they're family. They won't do it all, but they've done some and they've gotten some benefits. So that's as much as they're going to let me help them. That's as much advice as they're going to take. I have to be okay with it. I say, hey, if you don't do 100% of it, you're not going to get 100% better, most likely. But I'm still going to be here. Those people, those friends, those family, okay, maybe they don't have their main health problem that they came to me about because the nutrients fix that. But something else is going to fail eventually, and I'm going to be here giving you the same advice that I gave you the first time, which is to get off the bad foods. So vegan, I don't promote it. Obviously, none of us promote veganism. But the fact is, if we can get them to do half of our advice, we win. If people have problems with the ingredients, which that talk that we just did with Richard Renton, I hope alleviates a lot of those concerns, natural ingredients and citric acid and whatnot. But if they have those concerns, I always just defaulted back to the minerals. Get on the plain minerals. It's not the best program in the world, but it's a lot of it. It's really good. It's not the best, but it's really good. It can change your life. I've seen people change their life just with minerals. I've seen ridiculous results just with minerals that I don't even talk about enough because we promote all these other more involved programs. But the fact is, those minerals are still gold, and they have gold in them. Those minerals are still the foundation of what we do. They're the foundation of the results that we get. So if someone's going to not take our advice on foods at all, I'm still going to be saying, okay, well, there's another half of our message, which is the nutrients. And if you start to experience problems that vegans are prone to, especially in fatigue and stuff like that, we're going to give you the same advice. So you're just trying to be kind about it, trying to be understanding. People have reasons for believing what they do. I believed, in veganism for a while, especially from the slaughterhouse standpoint and the cruelty standpoint. But the world is coming kind of back around to omnivore, back around. Now, carnivore is popular, paleo is popular, keto is popular. Those are opposite of vegan diets. But a lot of these people are the same people, right? They went from veganism to this, that, because none of these diets are working. That's the point. I wrote about this in my newest book, by the way, Everything You Should Know About Healthy Blood Sugar. I had a whole chapter on this. These fad diets, continue to change and morph because none of them work, right? No diet can possibly give you all 90 essential nutrients. That's why people go from diet to diet to diet, continue to look for their answer. And the answer from us is you need to supply the 90 essential nutrients. It's out of our kindness and generosity and moral obligation that we tell you about the foods too, right? But if you only want to listen to half of our advice, hey, if you want to listen to none of our advice, what can I do other than be kind, and be understanding?
Yeah, I usually tell the plant-based people that I just tell them flat out, you're not going to be able to be 100% vegan on our program, but you don't have to eat animals. You can be vegetarian if you want, but the EFAs have some.
They don't have to. We have vegan EFAs, multi-EFA.
Right. Well, but that's still like,
They're not as good. They're not as good. They're not as good a deal.
Right. That's what I mean.
They're more expensive, but I get them on the shellfish free pack or the plain plant dried minerals. If that's all we can do with them, that's all we can do. We do have vegan products. Whatever it is, what it is. They can be vegan on a program. We're just going to be honest and say that we don't think you're going to be 100% healthy on that. I won't put it in those exact terms, but I mean, I know people in dentistry and surgery and stuff like this, and they won't tell the clients this, but they ask them, do you follow any diets and whatever? Some of them say, are you vegan? Because they know that the vegans are going to take about twice as long to heal, and they want to calculate for that. Especially if it's an outpatient thing, they know that vegans are going to have to stay twice as long, right? They're going to have twice as many complications like this. That's a serious number, twice. You don't see that very often, twice as bad. But hey, people are stuck on their ideologies. There's not that many holdouts. Most people are honest with themselves and realize that within a year or two, they feel like crap. Usually people get quite a benefit in the first few months from veganism because they purge out the bad foods, usually like the processed foods. But there's just as many ideological vegans who did it for political reasons, like me, who just ate, Oreos because they're vegan, right? And margarine and bread and
French fries,
gluten and oil, basically, and deep fried food. Even like it's there was no health basis for it. It was a political thing. So those people are going to have tons of health problems, and they still need to take our advice on the other foods.
My newest book, Everything You Should Know About Healthy Blood Sugar, goes into a lot of detail about one of the most complicated things we get asked about, which is healthy blood sugar. This covers all of the blood sugar problems you know about, including type 1 and type 2 diabetes, and other problems you might not know were blood sugar problems, including behavioral problems, sleep problems, and cardiovascular problems. This book also goes into a lot of detail on digestion and how primitive people and animals actually acquire the nutrients that they need for healthy blood sugar in their natural environment. And definitely check out my book, Fake Diseases. It covers all of the major topics that come up, like birth defects, blood sugar problems, bone and joint problems, cancer, autoimmune problems, and more. And it's on Amazon for just $9.99. Definitely get yourself a copy of Dr. Wallach's cookbook. This is basically a textbook about how to cook without the bad foods, particularly oil and gluten. This is 300 pages stuffed full of recipes without the bad foods that they're usually made from. And of course, make sure to check out our food page, Notice Foods, that's on YouTube, and at Notice Foods on Instagram. We have a lot of content up there teaching you how to cook without the bad foods that Dr. Wallach describes, and Dr. Glidden's 12 bad foods, all of that, all of the rules that you need to know. And we have experienced chefs and bakers who will answer the questions in those inboxes. And I've also published a book in response to some of Dr. Wallach's criticisms, including the major articles that have been written against him on the internet. So if you are a Dr. Wallach fan or a longevity distributor, I definitely recommend having this book in your toolkit. And all of my books, audiobooks, and links are available on my website, noticebooks.org.